Businessman Iqbal Survé stated in an interview with BizNews in January 2023 that independent media is ready to hand over its staff. The main reason, Survé suggested, was reputational headaches that came with ownership of the newspaper group. Independent media makes up less than 3% of our portfolio, but occupies 99% of our reputation, he told his interviewer. Meanwhile, independent media's holding company, Sekunjalo, pledged on Wednesday to support the independent in the short term, subject to a comprehensive restructuring plan. The writing appears on wall for the controversial ownership of Survé's independent group, and for some charcoal-faced journalists, move can't come early enough. Over the past week, current former independents have painted the Daily Maverick a picture of continued editorial interference, collapsing infrastructure and unsafe working conditions, financial insecurity, perhaps most severely, growing professional shame. All significant claims in this article have been submitted to independent media for comment. The general response to be attributed to the independent media spokesperson was as follows. Independent media considers your questions and their serious implications, but respectfully refuses to answer questions that are essentially internal affairs of a private organization. However, we can confirm that internal memorandum staff that were leaked to you, warning employees the deferral of their salary, have absolutely nothing to do with separate issue AYO and PIC reaching an agreement. PIC placement followed by sudden austerity on Friday, March 24. A confidential settlement was announced between PIC and Survé's AYO technology to end the ongoing lawsuit. The crux of the PIC issue, as reported by Business Maverick, has been that AYO has paid large dividends since PIC invested $4.3 billion public money the company. 2017. Despite being a loss-making position, most of the generous dividends paid by AYO, about $3 billion, went to Survé's other companies, including Sekunjalo Investments. Business Maverick determined that terms of the agreement between PIC and AYO would see PIC repurchase only $600 million in exchange for 5% of company's shares. As soon as the deal was announced, its effects began to be felt in Survé's other companies, especially independent media. Urgent action. Following questions from the Daily Maverick, a statement from Sekunjalo on Wednesday insisted once again that there was no connection between the PIC deal and independent media's financial woes. There is a great deal of confusion caused by independent media's competitors, and there is a concerted effort to merge the two completely independent organizations and their statuses, he said. Independent staff were told that the sudden austerity was caused by an overdue printing bill, but some don't believe it. None of us think we're going to survive for long, an independent employee told the Daily Maverick. Are we going to get paid at the end of April? Nobody is sure of themselves. And if we ones who are sacrificed for survival of business, do executives also take pay cuts, or are they just ordinary media workers? Working conditions of independent staff are getting worse. The sense that independent media has been thrown under the bus to keep Survé's other businesses afloat is causing some resentment between the Daily Maverick and staff who spoke on condition of anonymity. Many said they were praying that Survé would sell independent media to someone who cares about journalism. There is no sign of any real interest in journalism from the top, said one. If there was, you would definitely invest in us. Of course you would employ people who know journalism. We are constantly told that we are subsidized by other companies in Sekunjalo. So why don't you sell this damn thing if it's your responsibility? That's the question we're all asking. Examples of declining working conditions given to Daily Maverick at Independent include men's restrooms at Newspaper House, Independent's multi-storey former Cape Town headquarters, out of use since September 2022. Another cited incident was a fire that reportedly broke out on 5th floor of the newspaper house in 2022, causing parts of ceiling to collapse. Evacuation plan for the building. While there are still holes in the ceiling to this day, employees of other survey companies were pushed, in the words of one employee, to the independent staff at newspaper house, allegedly because rents at other Sekunjalo properties were too high. A claim that, if true, would be particularly absurd. A large group of national newspapers for a time. Fake pages for Cape Town headlines could not be printed because the only working printer resided in Survé's sister's house and was used her business. Editorial interference is an ongoing concern despite persistent claims by Survé and other independent executives that there was no editorial interference with the media group. Journalists tell a different story. The articles are quoted as if they never existed, one journalist told the Daily Maverick. Another journalist explained, individual editors may have an idea of what they want to run their newspapers with, but suddenly all newspapers will start writing things against certain people in politics and government, even though there is stronger news. One indication of levels of paranoia and distrust independent newsrooms is evident. In fact, 3 employees individually claimed to Daily Maverick that there were wiretapping devices rooms where journalists held their daily meetings, leading to fears newsroom staff were being tapped as they planned their stories. Everybody knew the Tembisa 10 story was nonsense, a recurring topic in interviews with Daily Maverick last week was the notorious June 2021 story. Former Pretoria news editor Pete Rampetti, who claimed that a Tembisa woman gave birth to world's first living preteens. Independent media's internal ombudsman concluded that the story was a hoax, while the public protector's attorney found in late 2022 that without it, it did not exist still. Survé continued to champion the idea that people were born without them but have been smuggled ever since, including funding a miniseries about baby trafficking in 2022. Now, many independent employees have told the Daily Maverick that the Tembisa 10 inches story is a source of professional humiliation. Everyone knew from the beginning that the Tembisa 10 story was nonsense. He made a mockery of us, said one. Another described the story as a nail in the coffin to the Independent's reputation. After that story, we started muttering which media outlet we were from. And what's so embarrassing and disturbing was insistence of those at the top that yes, story true. Journalists have told independent reporters difficulty of doing their job adequately, as the Independent's reputation is continually eroded, including facing challenge numerous experts who refuse to comment. Someone like higher education expert Jonathan Jansen. When you contact people like him to comment, they say they won't do business with independent media. So either they are strongly in line the Independent's editorial direction or dude with Iqbal Survé. You have to go analysts like Sifo Seat, who are friendly, he said. People who still love journalism at the Independent. Some of current and former employees who spoke to the Daily Maverick last week had either left company recently or were planning to leave. Many senior staff have passed away a long time ago, with a growing reliance on contractors and interns with no newsroom experience. There are those of us who are still out there with the love of journalism, one said. But if we're not even sure we'll get our salary anymore, DM